We're back. Time for the first review of the evening. That is Mötley Crüe with Too Fast for Love. This is 10 tracks, 40 minutes for the original version. The debut album from the American band released November 1981 via Leather Records. That is that label's only release, because it was, I think, their own label at the time. Self-produced by the band at Hit City West in California. 2 singles were released in Stick to Your Guns and Livewire. This album peaked at number 77 in the US, but was certified platinum in the US in 1986. This album saw the band get picked up by Elektra Records in 1982, which led to the re-recording of some parts and a full re-release of this album. For this, we've gone with the latest available version because we've got this whole streaming services and that now. This had a few bonus tracks that also covers, so basically this fundamentally covers both versions of it overall when you sit down and go through it. Cool. Over to you.
This album is fucking great.
Straight off the bat.
Yep. Back in the day when they were young, carefree, and not distracted by so many other things that life had to offer as they got more and more successful.
I don't know. I reckon I was semi-distracted already.
Yeah.
They ended up a lot more distracted.
I will agree with that.
It would have been fucking amazing to see Mötley Crüe in a club back in those days on the Sunset Strip playing these songs. Yeah. There were countless bootlegs out there, but you don't get the same.
I think they moved some 20,000 units of this one, which is pretty fucking incredible for an unsigned band back then.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, a lot of people refer to this as the band's best album, and it's easy to see why. You know? And as I said in the introduction, I knew the hits, but when I heard this, basically came for Livewire, Piece of Your Action, and the title track, but stayed for Come On and Dance, Take Me to the Top, and Starry Eyes, and so many other tracks. It's just a fucking album you can just put on and listen to over and over again. The guitar tone is fucking great. It's just raw and ballsy. And the songs are just made up of catchy riffs. The instrumental section in Piece of Your Action, that is an all-time fucking classic.
Yep.
It's just got that energy and it's infectious. And then that scream that Vince did.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yep.
I can just listen to that over and over. You got that guitar bit, and then he just comes in. Fuck yeah. So good.
Dave's happy already.
Yeah, and then you see him do it live these days, and it's like, no, shut the fuck up. Please. No. The musical sections that they do, you know, they probably spent ages working out what was best because, you know, some bands just go, okay, verse, chorus, solo bit here, but they lead into the solos in a lot of songs. You got to have that bit where they're just rocking as a fucking band. You know, Starry Eyes has it too. That's a very cool one. And, you know, they just play really well together. They wrote good songs. Lyrically, there's so many good hooks to the songs, you can't not remember them.
Yeah.
There's so many songs that are just instantly recognisable by the opening notes.
Yeah.
A lot of these,
definitely.
They could play any deep cut off this live, and everyone's like, that's that fucking song.
The crowd will go off.
The crowd will go fucking nuts. Mick Mars, very unique style of playing. Partly might be because of his illness, maybe he was restricted, but he had a very unique feel. Yeah, I don't think it affected his hand as much, but he was an older dude too, and he was more into the blues than the other.
He was the old bluesy guy for the band.
And it worked as a great contrast with him. He kind of grounded them rather than... Nicky Sixx had a lot of great ideas, and Mick Mars helped to focus it.
Bring it to life kind of thing. Yeah.
I don't think this album gets the credit it deserves. I mean, everyone bangs on about great debut albums, but this one really gets overlooked. Yeah, it gets overlooked in those conversations. It never gets ranked up there, but I think this is fucking great. I give it 9 out of 10. Oh man, standouts. Livewire, Come On and Dance, Public Enemy Number 1, Take Me to the Top, Piece of Your Action, Starry Eyes, and Too Fast for Love. Almost the whole fucking album.
Okay.
What did you leave out? Nothing.
It's probably more to the point.
Yeah. For me, what I do let slide is the fact that it's the first album.
Yeah.
I don't like the production of this album.
It's
hard to listen to. Yeah. But I get where they were at and whatever else, and the songs are there. The quality of the songs for me, the majority,
songs carried over the production, like the youthful exuberance made up for it, kind of thing. They were never going to fail because the way I look at Too Fast for Love and what the band, and I don't think they consciously probably didn't do it, but subconsciously happened was, okay, Kiss were this flamboyant band, we're that like that by nature, a similar sort of look, not completely the same, but they went for the heaviness and the grooves of a Sabbath. So how could it fail? It's not going to fail. Yeah,
these bands were two established bands that have had massive 70s careers. These guys right at the start of the 80s put their blend of those two bands. I hear a lot of that in this album. You know,
with a bit more nastiness.
So so the heaviness and the riffage was there, and the flamboyance of Kiss.
Yep.
How's it going to fail? You know, you had a really
especially
good,
back then.
You know,
Yeah.
it was all the rage. While those two other bands were established, are probably on the decline. You got this.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and you had the songs to back it up.
Yep.
You know, yeah, the energy is really good. You can hear the beginnings of something special between the rhythm section.
Yeah.
There's a certain thing with Tommy and Nicky in particular, because Mick does some other colourful things with the guitar, but it's the drums and bass for me that when you hear them together, you know it's Crüe.
Yep.
And you don't get that in a lot of bands.
No,
you know,
Tommy's definitely got a unique style. You can
he has
tell. He just
100%.
fucking hits the hell out of it.
Yeah.
But both of them do. You know, even the way Nicky plays the bass and whatever,
Yeah.
you hear it, you go, that's just Crüe. You know, and that's why they became what they are.
Yeah.
And actually, as the 80s rolled on, they became bigger. When you look at a band like Rat, by the mid 80s, they were on the decline.
Yeah.
Sort of, and they still put some good albums out, but Crüe went up,
Yep.
bands like that went down.
Yep.
So it was in the quality of the songs, and we'll get into obviously albums later on. And I thought it was really good. I liked Toast of the Town. I actually thought that should have been on the re-release. Thought it was a really good song. The alternative version of Too Fast for Love. What the fuck was that all about?
Yeah, no, it does make
thank
sense,
God they
doesn't it?
edited where they did.
With the intro.
Because that first 45 seconds
That didn't need to be there at all.
What the fuck is going on with that?
Yep.
Didn't like that. It was good to hear the extras or whatever, because I don't have, obviously, those of the original releases. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. And like I said, it's a little underdone, but I can appreciate it for where the band's at and everything else. Livewire, Take Me to the Top, Piece of Your Action, Starry Eyes are my standouts. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Cool. Well, this one kicks off with a big bang. It's all about raw intensity. That's what this release is for. They've got it in spades. Talk about the production. It's a bit raw and rough around the edges.
Yeah.
It's a unsigned band, no fucking budget. They don't know what they're doing. They've got an engineer only in there with them, and they're just doing everything they can for as cheap as they can. And I think, for me, though, because the songs are good enough, you don't. In some respects, that rough and ready kind of production helps it, because it gives you more of that feel of what's happening at the time.
It just feels like four guys in a room.
Yeah, exactly.
It really does.
Yeah,
you know?
And for these songs, for the energy, for what was going on, that really clicked and worked with me on that one. I think that you can hear how green they are. There are some sloppy sections in the performances and that.
Oh yeah, you hear some fuck ups.
You mentioned the rhythm section. You can tell when they're not quite on though. So, and that's not to say it's a bad thing. It's just when you actually sit down and really listen to this stuff, you go, oh, hang on. Yeah, it's fun, but you fucked that up. But
because we've been conditioned to hear music a certain way now, it's so perfect. When you go back to an older album where it was all human people doing it, you know, you don't get that anymore. Even when there are people playing it, it's cut to perfection. You know, so.
But I didn't mind that either. Like, I know that in terms of execution, this isn't the world's best executed release, but at the same time, for what it represented and for how they captured the vibe of it all, it's pretty fucking well done. I mean, it feels. I mean, Jody was watching something earlier on, and Nicky called this their glorified demo, and that's what it is. If you go into it with that mindset, this is pretty fucking impressive to do for that kind of, for what they had going for them, which was absolutely nothing. They've gone in and given it a red hot shake. This is a real party album. They've got a really, just the infectious energy on this is where I think that is saving what, the production or the performances might be lacking in. Just the energy, the intensity, the fun, the party of this.
I think you got to weigh in their age.
Yeah, they're kids.
You know, I think Tommy was 18 or something, and Nicky could have been 22. Or Mick might have been the oldest, but he was only mid to late 20s or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
So when you look between say 18 to say 25, it's a pretty good start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, even you're only going to be as strong as your weakest link, and they're only that young, kind of thing. So they've done very, very well. Like I said, it's I found Public Enemy number 1 kind of thing, because that track there, you've got, I don't know, there's parts of that song where there's some really, like, the engineer was pretty good on this one, because they did some really subtle things, like there's some, like there's this little claps in that
Yeah.
song that are back in the mix. It's really subtle, but then the cowbell just fucking is brutal. Like, I was like, fuck. I love cowbell. There's always more cowbell, but not quite that
That
fucking
was
loud.
actually 13 cowbells hit at the same time.
That was
to get that.
pretty fucking big. It's like you got these subtle claps which is bang on, and then just fucking there's the cowbell.
Yeah,
It's like,
I know.
oh,
Yeah, that
fuck.
is. Yeah.
Look, but this is. It's one of those ones which I think becomes a theme a bit as we go on, but there's some really good high points. There's a few low points in this one as well, but overall it's pretty all balanced. The lows are being down to the songs, not the ability per se, and the same thing as the highs are to do with the songs. That's what it all comes down to, though. The choice of Merry Go Round as the bonus live track, I do question that one. Like, it's performed well, but it's a safe song. Like, there's no risk in that song performing it live and capturing it. So I get why they put it out, but it's like... but it's not even the best song. Not even close to the best song on this record.
Way.
Like, none of us have mentioned it. Merry Go Round, you can forget it in a heartbeat. Honestly, that's why I say there's some flat spots in here. Like, yeah, the album's good, but Merry Go Round, like, you can hear it in your head. Okay, so I've done that part well, but that's because I've listened to it a lot. If you just put it on a couple of times and you don't...
Well, you know it's not a good song because he just says merry go round and round.
Round.
Vince, you know, and he didn't even write the lyrics.
No,
like,
he
you know. So Nicky was like, I don't know what the fuck to write here. So just keep saying that, and he goes, all right, I will. So
the other side of the coin, though, is then you do get the songs that are good storytelling when Nicky is on with the lyrics.
On with the show, for example.
Yeah, that is a gem.
And when they brought that back for the reunion, fuck, that was a crowd popper, man.
Yeah,
you know,
that went off. And
I think, sorry to cut you off, and it's your time, but I have a tendency of doing this.
You haven't been here for a while.
A lot of you people probably haven't missed, but Starry Eyes, if they brought a couple of those, take me to the top.
Yeah.
Fuck, you know, like some of those
Old
songs
school
would be,
fans would go off to it.
Would enjoy it, yes. Anyway, back to you.
I like the different use of tempo and rhythm on this one. They didn't just settle into the one, not one trick ponies already. And I think that Vince, he's copped a lot of criticism over the years, but I think he does a pretty good job on this one as well. Now, On With The Show can literally show some of the deficiencies within the technical abilities of the band, but like you mentioned, that song, when they brought it back for the reunion tour, was fucking insane. And it's one of those ones where this is a sentimental pick for mine because Jodie used to listen to that song so much her nickname was Frankie when she was a kid. So that was...
Good thing she didn't die then.
No, well, that's it, I know, but I'm grateful, obviously. But that's an example, though, that every person that listens to this is going to find a different track to gravitate toward. You've got some bangers, you've got some slower stuff, you've got some good things overall in this one. The album flows nicely, it flies by. I know there's better to come, but this is a pretty good beginning for mine. I gave it an 8 out of 10. A Piece of Your Action, Livewire, Toast of the Town, and On With The Show are my real standouts on this one. So, There we go. Moving on.